Environmental Quality Incentive Program. It's our biggest program that NRCS administers at this time. It's a voluntary program, and it provides assistance to farmers and ranchers who face threat for soil, water, air, and related natural resource on their land. So if you're a farmer on the Navajo Reservation, you're a farmer or a rancher, you can sign up for this program at any time and receive federal assistance. Applications are accepted at any time throughout the year. Now we have times throughout the year that once we set those applications, we process those applications. So there is a deadline for the applications that you submit, but each year that deadline is different. So I can't give you a November deadline will be the cutoff date. But we do accept applications at any time, and if you miss a sign-up period, as what we call it, you will be going into the next sign-up period if you miss that sign-up period. Who's eligible? Persons engaging in livestock and agricultural production are eligible for the program. Cattle, sheep, goats, not horses. Persons interested in entering into a contractual agreement with USDA for EQIP assistance may file an application at any time. Land eligibility. Now on the reservation it's a little different, but the main thing is the land use qualifications that you will need to qualify for this program. Cropland, rangeland, pasture land, private non-industrial forest land, meaning you're not producing forest for profits. Also to be eligible, the applicant or the agricultural producer, which most of you are, must have an annual minimum of $1,000 of agricultural crop produced or sold from the operation. So on the reservation, if you're doing that for consumption, one way to come up with that $1,000 would be for, help me out, squash, something like that. We would take the county average or something like that, and you would say, well, I grew 50 bushels of squash. And ever how much that would be kind of a gauge as to how much actual in dollar amount that you actually produced. Now, if you sold that amount, then you would have a record of that. So but for consumption, we would use the county average for that kind of thing. You must be in compliance with highly erodible lands provision in the 1985 Farm Bill. And that goes along with wetlands. I know Arizona doesn't have a lot of wetlands, but there are a few that we find here in northern Arizona. You must have an interest in the farming operation associated with the land being offered for enrollment into EQIP. You must have control of the land. So on the Navajo Reservation, you must have either a grazing permit or a land use permit. It could be no less than 2 years and up to 10 years. After 10 years, the statutory limit runs out and they are terminated automatically. So after 10 years, they're terminated. But up to 10 years, you can do that. But you have to show that you have control of it for that length of time. Whether it is a power of attorney, where whoever has the permit and you're the farmer, and they grant you the power of attorney to farm that for up to 10 years or 5 years, ever how long you have that contract. Irrigation, I know a lot of irrigation goes on the Navajo. To qualify for any of our irrigation practices, which drip irrigation, any kind of irrigation practice, you would have to have irrigated that piece of land 2 out of the last 5 years. So you should, if you're hauling water, you should have record of hauling water, how much water you put on, that sort of thing, on your crop. That's a way you can show that you have applied irrigation water to your fields 2 out of the last 5 years. For new contracts starting in October 2008, average adjusted gross income. This is more the Midwest, bigger agriculture producers. If you earn non-farm income greater than $1 million, the person or legal entity is not eligible for Farm Bill programs. A $300,000 cap. So most of everyone here is individual. So you will be tied to a $300,000 cap per contract. So over that 10-year period, you can only gain $300,000. But if you're a group of 5, 10 ranchers, farmers, and no one person is making over the $300,000 limit, then that contract can be more than $300,000. Farm boards, chapters, the Navajo Nation, we have contracts with all of them. They aren't tied to the $300,000. We have contracts, multiple contracts for more than $300,000, but they aren't tied. But as an individual, you are tied to the $300,000. To be eligible to participate, the applicant must develop an EQIP plan. Now, I stated that we have offices around the reservation. If you're interested in this program, I would get in contact with any of our offices on the reservation to develop a conservation plan where you're identifying the problems, you're coming up with a solution, and you're evaluating the solutions that you're coming up with to further identify resource concerns that it needs to be met through the EQIP plan. Once again, one or more conservation practice to be implemented to achieve the conservation and environmental objective. The schedule for implementing the conservation practice. Resource concerns addressed by conservation practices. Within NRCS, we identify resource concerns that are throughout the country. All these resource concerns are not specific to the Navajo Reservation or off reservation. This is throughout the country. So, for instance, if we come out and do a assessment, write a conservation plan, and we identify a problem as water quantity. Obviously, a well, water catchment of some kind would benefit that resource concern. Storage tank, same thing, water quantity. A well can be water quantity or water quality. If you have bad water, and a well can provide you the better water for livestock and consumption, a well can qualify for that as well. Rangeland planting, forage quality would be a resource concern that we could address with range planting. On wells, on irrigation wells, we do not fund irrigation wells. That's not just Arizona, that's the whole 50 states. That's a national policy that NRCS has come up with. So no irrigation wells will be funded through NRCS. But if you have a well already there and you're using concrete ditches or earth ditch, we can hook onto that well with a pipeline and put it into a pipe and go from there. The plan becomes a basis for the agreement between NRCS and the participant. The plan is your decisions that you have come up with. It's not NRCS's decisions. We work closely with the participant to come up with solutions to their problems, but the plan is specific to the participants' needs. There you go, participants' needs. Like I said before, no more than 10 years in duration. After 10 years, it does automatically terminate. Applicants' conservation plans are ranked to establish which applications will achieve the highest environmental benefit. It's a complicated way of ranking, but just to simplify it, you get a score at the end of the ranking period. And in your service area, which the different field offices, those offices receive a allotment of money. And anybody else who signs up within that service area, that's who you compete with. You don't compete with the whole state. You don't compete with the whole Navajo reservation. You compete with whoever within that service area that you sign up with. Guidelines for ranking applications. Which practice can be contracted and when are the environmental benefits points awarded? When both of the following apply. A resource problem exists that does not meet Arizona's NRCS quality criteria, which means that if there's a resource concern there, it doesn't meet our standard as being met. So if you have rangeland and we go out to do a rangeland assessment and it does not meet our criteria, then we can address that by doing a rangeland planting to meet the criteria of a baseline rangeland. The number 2, one or more new conservation practices must be applied to address resource problems to achieve quality criteria as identified in the Field Office Tech Guide. And at the end, I'll have a website where you can go look. It's the same thing NRCS employees look at. It's a tech guide that has gobs and gobs of information that is very useful for not only NRCS, but everyone. New conservation practices include modified management practices and replacement of structural practices that exceed their expected lifespan. So like I said, if you have a concrete ditch that you're irrigating out of and it's past its lifespan, we can either go in with another concrete ditch or we can put it in a pipe and irrigate that way under pressure. Drip system, sprinkler system, flood irrigation, gated pipe, those kind of things. If you have an EQIP contract at this time and you sign up for another EQIP contract, work that is considered maintenance of a previously installed practice cannot be included in an EQIP contract. So when you go to these offices, here are some of the forms that you will be required to fill out. These forms, some of these forms are included on our website. The CPA 1200 is the actual application. Each of our offices have current copies of the application. It's about 15 pages. Probably 13 of those pages is just reading material, so it's not hard to fill out. The 2 websites, the very helpful websites, the Arizona NRCS website, az.nrcs.usda.gov, and there's a lot of tabs at the top of that. There's a programs tab which not only has EQIP, but it has all of our programs that we administer in Arizona. The Arizona NRCS website, it does have the Field Office Tech Guide link on the first page, on the first page of the web page, which is very helpful for any kind of searching for problems or solutions that you might have on your plotted land.